guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 Red Riding Hood retelling recommendations. I'm doing this series that every time I read 5 of one kind of retelling, I'm going to put out a recommendation video for you guys. All of these recommendations, of course, are going to be perfect for Retoldathon, which is my retelling themed readathon happening in August. I will link all the information down below in the description, but for now, we're just going to share some of these awesome books. First, we're going to share 2 that are part of series, but I do highly recommend reading the first in the series first. The first one I want to talk about is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. So this is book 2 in the Lunar Chronicles series. Marissa Meyer is one of my favorite authors. This is a young adult quartet that also has novellas and graphic novels. Each book in this Lunar Chronicles series follows a different fairy tale. However, they all do connect together and start right where the last book left off, so I do recommend reading them in order. The first book is Cinder. I can't say too much about this one because I don't want to give away spoilers from the first book. This is a loose Red Riding Hood / Beauty and the Beast retelling. The Lunar Chronicles is a sci-fi retelling. We do have some almost dystopian themed elements in here. In the first book, Cinder is a retelling of Cinderella, and Cinder is a cyborg, and she's very much hated upon by her stepmother and 2 of her stepsisters for this reason. We're in this futuristic world called New Beijing. There's a deadly plague that sweeps over that people are trying to avoid and figure out a cure for. In this world, Cinder is a mechanic, and she actually fixes robots for a living. She is a sidekick robot that's really cool. And in this second book, we take place right after the events of Cinder. We are also learning about Scarlet, who's halfway across the world, and her grandmother has gone missing. Turns out there is many things that Scarlet did not know about her grandmother, including how much her life was in grave danger. When Scarlet encounters Wolf, a street fighter that may have information regarding her grandmother, she does not want to trust the stranger, but she is also inexplicably drawn to him. And we're following them as they're kind of unraveling this mystery plus meeting up with what happened in the first part of the series. I really enjoyed this full series, and I really like the romances in here. They're really sweet and cute. All the characters are so lovable, and we have like a nice ragtag team. Next, we have Princess of the Silver Woods by Jessica Day George. This is book 3 in the Princesses of Westfallen trilogy. This again is a young adult trilogy. Again, these all follow different fairy tale retellings, but they all interconnect together and kind of continue on the story. So in the first book, we are doing a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, which is my personal favorite retelling to read about. I hope to do a video on that very soon. In the first book in the series, we're following Galen, who is a young soldier returning from war, and Rose, who's one of the 12 dancing princesses condemned to dance each night for the king under stone. Together, Galen and Rose search for a way to break the curse. In this third book, we do continue on and mention things that happen in the series. We're following the youngest daughter, Petunia. She's the youngest of the 12 dancing princesses. She's invited to visit a friend in the neighboring country of Westfallen. She invites the change of scenery, but in order to reach Westfallen, Petunia must pass through the forest where strange 2-legged wolves are rumored to exist. So we've got a nice little retelling in here. These are very fairy tale heavy. They follow the original stories, but are their own unique thing. I really liked the entire trilogy. Of course, this cover is fabulous as well. Alright, next we have a standalone that is Girl in Red from Christina Henry. This one is a totally different vibe than the other 2 I mentioned. This one I recently read for Hike-a-thon because it has really good vibes and atmosphere for that as well. And this is basically a post-apocalyptic take on the Red Riding Hood tale. So it's not safe for anyone to be alone in the woods. There are predators that come out at night, critters and coyotes, snakes and wolves. But the woman in the red jacket has no choice. Not since the crisis came, decimating the population and sent those who survived fleeing the quarantine camp that serve as breeding grounds for death and destruction. She's just a woman trying not to get killed in a world that doesn't look anything like the one that she grew up in. I have mixed feelings about this one. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star for me, but there are a lot of things that I feel like people won't like about it. Our main character is fairly unlikable. It does have some darker tones because we're in this post-apocalyptic kind of disease-ridden world. There's also a plague in the Lunar Chronicles, but it's much more lighthearted and not as dire. This is considered a horror retelling. I personally don't think that it's scary. It just has some slightly darker, like creepier elements. I really like Christina Henry's writing style, and I really loved the atmosphere of this book. We were like in the woods a lot. She was trying to survive. We were hunting for things. We were like going on a long journey. Our main character does have only one working leg, so she's kind of got a hindrance on this journey as well, which was interesting to read about. So this is a good one to check out if you want something different. Next, we have Sisters Red by Jackson Pierce. This again is first in a fairy tale series, but this one you can read by itself because it's the first one. Again, they do loosely tie together even though they follow different fairy tales and different characters. There are things in the other books that happen in here, so again, as long as you read this one first, you're good to go. So in this one we have, again, another really unique world. This one is set in a modern setting, and we're following Scarlet, and she lives to hunt werewolves who took her eye when she was defending her sister when she was young. These werewolves are called the Fenris. She's armed with a razor-sharp hatchet and a blood-red cloak. She is an expert at luring and hunting these werewolves. She is determined to protect her sister from these grisly werewolves, and she will stop at nothing to do so. Then we also have Rosie, who thought her bond with her sister was unbreakable. Owing Scarlet her life, Rosie hunts ferociously alongside of her, but as even more girls' bodies pile up in the city and the Fenris seem to be gaining power, Rosie dreams of a life beyond the wolves. This is just so interesting. It is so cool how the werewolves become werewolves, how the girls fight them. There's a cute little romance in here. I was really captivated by it, this entire series. I love Jackson Pierce's writing style. It's very fairy tale heavy, but it's also set in our world, and it was just so interesting to read about and one of my all-time favorite retellings. And then lastly, we have Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. This is part of a young adult duology. However, you do not have to read the first book first to enjoy this one. They are just set in the same world, but both books make you very familiar with the world, so you can start with either one. Rosamund Hodge's writing style is so magical and luxurious, and these in particular are very good on audiobook because one of my favorite narrators does them, and she is so good. She's a little bit on the slow melodical side, but I absolutely love them. They just feel like really luxurious and lovely. So when Rochelle was 15, she was apprenticed to her aunt and in training to protect her village from dark magic. But she was also reckless, straying from the forest path in pursuit of her way to a free world. After an illicit meeting goes dreadfully wrong, Rochelle is forced to make a terrible choice that binds her to the very evil that she hopes to defeat. This one I feel like is the loosest of all the retellings. There are not as many Red Riding Hood elements, but there definitely are some in there. And again, the writing style is lovely. I absolutely adored this book. Highly recommend. Those are 5 Red Riding Hood retellings that I personally have really enjoyed. They're great for any time of year, but especially good for fall and for our retelling themed readathon. Let me know your favorite Red Riding Hood retelling if you have one down below in the comments. Let me know which one of these piqued your interest the most. I will also link my retelling themed playlist down below in the description if you haven't checked that out already. I have a lot of other fun retelling themed videos, so be sure and check those out. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time on The Bright Side.